Hello, everyone. I am Beau,
And I'm Aaron.
and this is Old Games Plus Season 1, Episode 1, Imperfect Works. We are going to be doing a few episodes covering our personal experience playing Xenogears. It seems like a couple of years ago, like, podcasts about Xenogears just became very, very prolific. If you go onto iTunes or Spotify, it's sort of like finding a western in a movie store.
Yeah.
They're going to be everywhere. So
Yeah, it had like an odd brief resurgence at one point almost.
I think it coincided with Evangelion going on Netflix, and that
Yeah.
really hitting the mainstream, and then Ava 4
Yeah.
coming out.
I can see that, just because of the mecha profile or not profile, parallels and whatnot.
The mecha and the religion,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which we'll get into that later, but I don't think that's a fair comparison between the two series.
No, definitely not.
But to say there's no influence whatsoever would be equally as ridiculous, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because it's apples and oranges, but at the same time, there are enough common themes between them.
Right. This is Old Games Plus, Imperfect Works Episode 1. This is the new show we told you guys about, with a new hosting team, Beau and Aaron. This is on the Donarom network, so this is just going to show up where you're used to hearing Donarom. Whatever feed you got set up, whatever subscription you got set up, there's no need to go and find new ones. This will pop up. There's going to be a couple links in the description of this video. We'll be putting out our Discord one, which I really encourage people to check out the Discord, because it's really cool, because like most people's Discords, if they're like a podcaster or something, it's like a place for their fans to gather, and it's just very, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. Like, I'm just saying, like,
cool,
ours is
also
more of like a hangout.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's not so narcissistic where we sit back and just watch the peasants talk together.
like, we all played this game, but I'm the one talking
But
about
I'm better.
it. So
No, it's the Discord's really good. I can say, as a person who is not a heavy Discord user under normal circumstances, that the Donarom one has been really fun. Everyone gets in there and talks, cast, crew, fans, everyone. And even if you're not the giant, like the biggest talker in the world, coolest thing in the world is that Discord's notifications are a lot better than YouTube's. So you'll know immediately when new stuff comes out.
absolutely, that's a very good point. You'll know if you're a part of the Discord. You'll see it when it happens. And if you wanna really get the edge on the competition, speaking of that, check out our Patreon and enjoy those early episodes. And Patreon subscribers even get to push us around and tell us what to do every once in a while, as far as content goes. Maybe we'll do a few stray one-off episodes based on comments from Patreon subscribers. But that's enough shameless plugging. Our background on this game, I don't want to get too much into the background of the creation of the game, because that's sort of the opposite of what we want to do with this. We want to talk about our personal experience playing this. And so how I came to view the game was, I was just, anytime I could get a video game, I was all about the ones that said Squaresoft in the lower right-hand corner of the case, because of Final Fantasy VII. And this isn't a Final Fantasy VII podcast, but its influence was absurd.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
And it started that trend of Squaresoft equals good, is
Yes,
what we thought.
yes, and this was calculated by Squaresoft because Final Fantasy VII actually had twice the advertising budget in North America's Titanic.
Yeah, which is insane.
Titanic had $50 million for its advertising budget. And I'm talking about the movie Titanic, the James Cameron movie. Had $50 million for its advertising budget. In North America alone, Squaresoft spent $100 million advertising Final Fantasy VII. We were told to love it as much as we were.
Yeah.
And it's a very bizarre thing, isn't it? Like, to get older and look back on that data and be like, do I love Final Fantasy VII? Or was I not given any choice?
Not given a choice, because we weren't. But like, then that's extra crazy. That's like $1995.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's absolutely insane about that. So, because of that, Squaresoft was just localizing everything they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They were just throwing it over here because they had so much clout. Good, yes, because that led a couple little boys in Hicktown at 12 years old to run into what I still think is the best story in any narrative media I've ever encountered.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, honestly.
Yeah. And this is a story I would not have come across normally. I to this day, if I hadn't encountered it first, there's so many things that probably would have fallen by the wayside, and that's really what this show's about. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got the game. I believe you heard about it through me, the whole borrowing story and everything.
Yeah,
which we'll get into that later. There's a funny little story there.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones that you ran into first. Like, you ran to Xenogears first and introduced me to it. I think I did the same to you with Legend of Dragoon.
Yes, absolutely, with Legend of Dragoon. That was you on me. I discovered Xenogears through the demo disc that came with Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
The bizarre demo disc. Kotaku actually did an article on it, like back in the 20th anniversary of Xenogears, like back in 2018, and they sort of rewrote history, like they like to do. Like they just sort of like write an article, right. like in 1995, this was, and they're like, "Are you speaking for every living soul that played this game in 1995?" Like they're a very, they do what they do.
Yeah. There's a reason why we don't talk about them anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly, unfortunately.
So, wow. Just where to start? Let's just start. So you put the disc in and it doesn't start off very odd. You get the PlayStation screen splash. You go through it, and it even gives you the weird, like, where it's playing the music that's very atypical of the rest of the game's music, and it does the weird writing out of the title of the game, lightning. The Xenogears with light and everything, and you're like, okay, all right, you're speaking my language.
This is definitely a robot game.
And then you hit new game. And hang on, guys. Let me back up just a bit. Let me read to you the back of the box of this game.
It is scarring on its own.
So when you read the back of the box of a video game in 19... Now, mind you, the most narrative-intensive game I played before this was Final Fantasy VII, and it was still very much being sold like, do you like big swords? Do you like spiky-haired guys that say things like, not interested, or I only care about me, or...
Yeah, it was deep because it had an anti-hero in the 90s.
Yes, it was very, very... So, then you pick up the back of Xenogears' box, and, again, that Squaresoft name really grabbed me, man, because nothing about this was really so... at the top, in white lettering with a red, bloody almost border, it says "Stand tall and shake the heavens," which I've actually recently learned a lot of North American fans don't like that tagline because it doesn't really describe the game that well.
Yeah,
but it kind of misleads you. But I think it establishes the whole religion thing well enough.
It does.
I love it personally. Yeah. I really do.
It does, and I have to say, like, quick little junction on that. I'm playing through Xenogears right now, and there is a very big moment early in the game. It's very early in the game. It's when you get to the desert.
I know what you're talking about. We'll cover that when we get there, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that directly references into that title. I feel like the shaking the heavens bit.
Yeah,
but like, if you've never played the game, you're not going to pick up on that.
Yeah. So now we get to regular font, and a mysterious organization is turning the tides of a century-long war with ancient technology. Giant combat robots. Okay, we're one for one. One paragraph down. I'm liking it.
Good.
A failed attempt to steal one of these powerful mechanized weapons places it in the unwilling hands of young Faye and his dubious allies.
Okay, awesome. Still good. We got a reluctant hero story.
We got a reluctant hero. We've got a ragtag group. They're a dubious group. They're
I'm like 10. I don't know what that word means, but cool.
Yeah, now he is pursued by military governments, royal pirates, that's a spoiler, spies, that's the biggest spoiler I've ever read in my life. The Emperor, we don't have any, it is not mentioned an empire at all.
Why is there an emperor now?
So now we know there's an emperor, but we're not really told the emperor has anything to do with the military government. That could be a totally separate thing. We're not, in his own forgotten past. And then there's 3 little bullet points with the little X I really like. Over 20 minutes of stunning hand-drawn anime spelled here with the antiquated accent mark over the E that we don't use anymore.
I think that's like the only time I've ever seen that too.
Tells this complex futuristic tale, and it was still called Japanimation where we lived.
Yeah.
In 1998. I don't know. I did not know what anime was, or just cartoons. Sailor Moon was the first anime I ever watched. I had no idea it was an anime. I thought it was a cartoon. The first anime I ever watched that I knew was an anime was on sci-fi anime. What was it? Anime Mondays, Anime
Oh,
Saturdays,
yeah.
were real late at night. They play anime, and it was a Dominion Tank Place. You showed it to me.
Yeah.
That was the first time I knew, because you were like, "You want to see this anime?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I didn't want to be like, "I don't know what that is." I wanted to be like,
I
know."
cool.
I was like, I like Kramer, like I'm hip to the whole scene. So. Battling giant robots are hand-to-hand using intuitive combat systems without menus. Bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
There's a menu in this game.
There's menus everywhere.
Now, your normal attacks aren't menu-based. You do your combo things, but if you're using ether or items, you're still absolutely going through a classic JRPG menu.
And you still have to use the menu to select what you want to do. Like,
absolutely. Explore detailed, fully rotatable, polygonal environments. I believe that's fair. So
yes,
that's what we know about this game going into it. So then you see the cool splash screen and the cool like riding out Xenogears with the music that doesn't fit thematically or musically with the rest of the game. That all's fine. And then you hit new game, and the first thing you see is I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last.
That's also that cutscene. That is also the
if you let
wait thing, on the menu.
If you let it just sit, it's the demo.
Yeah.
So in normal games, if you just sit, it'll play a gameplay demo, which harkens back to the arcades. But in this game, it'll play this cinematic. So it opens up and says, "I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last," and you're like, "Okay." I grew up Catholic, so I immediately recognize that as from the Bible.
This seems familiar.
So I was like, okay, where are you going with this? What are we doing? And then this absolutely incredible music starts playing. I love this song. And I believe it's actually called Light from the Nether or Light from the Netherworld. Some things like the 20th anniversary vinyl names it Dark Dawn. I like that title a lot.
Yeah.
I think that describes it perfectly.
It's very fitting too.
This music, we're going to talk a lot about the music. Yasunori Mitsuda wrote the music for this game. It is. I know Chrono Trigger fans don't like to hear this, but Xenogears is his masterpiece. It is the music's absolutely mind blowing.
It's incredible. You could literally just listen to it on its own, and it's like going to an opera.
I do that a lot with OSTs. I love video game OSTs because I think that some of the, I don't know if it's just because I grew up hearing these songs my whole life, but
I'm picky on them.
I love them. Like and
Mega Man, I'll listen to.
You give me SquareSoft, Capcom, Konami, and Sega OSTs, happy as a lark. So we see a very Star Destroyer like sequence. There's a very long ship, and Perfect Works, which I now own. Perfect Works was a source book that came out in Japan, and Perfect Works tells us how long this ship is, and it names it. But I'm not going to name it, because when you find out the name of the ship, I feel like that's pretty good. You know what? I'm not going to look that up. That's going to take too much time.
It's big.
It's big. It's very big, and Perfect Works, and I'll go ahead and tell you that... no, we'll save that. But... the ship goes on forever, and it's very Star Wars-esque. And then we see, I know I just said that I feel like the Ava comparisons are unfair, but we see a scene that looks a lot like Nerve HQ.
Yeah,
it does. The tiered,
and at least it's an actual cockpit, though.
Yeah. And we see a very old-timey captain. He looks a lot like the Macross captain.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like the Robotech captain.
He looks straight up like just a naval captain. He looks like he's in like a modern day navy.
So they're on the ship, and they show just enough of the goings on in this ship to tell you business as usual. And the moment you think, oh, this is just a ship this is just common. And what's funny is, so first off, why are we seeing this spaceship? Nothing on this box told me about the spaceship.
There's I don't see a robot.
I don't see any giant robots. I know I saw, like, in the demo, I was going through clearly a classic JRPG kind of setting. So what? And so that first off, that was like, oh, okay, what are we doing? And something goes really wrong. Really wrong. A woman starts shouting technical jargon and typing very quickly.
Warning screens pop up.
And as a Catholic, I'm sitting here trying to catch up with everything, and I'm hearing biblical terms just shouted out every once in a while, and I'm like, what is going on? And so the captain, cool as a cucumber, man. I mean, absolutely he's like, okay, do this. And then someone else freaks out, and he's like, hey, ladies. ladies, let's not get our panties in a bunch. Let's fix this.
He's like, nah, it's good.
Because this is 1998.
Yeah,
he's still allowed to say things.
Yeah, and he's the only dude on the bridge anyways. So
he's
it's awfully weird.
And it's a very much scene of everyone around him's panicking, and like you immediately know why this guy was picked for the job.
Yeah, because he's on it.
Like he's on it. And this is really jarbled, and like for perfectionists out there that are listening to it, it's like, no, this happened, then this happened, and this happened. I'm telling you what 12-year-old me saw.
Yeah.
And what adult me still sees, because it's so well done.
Yeah.
And the music, by the way, it started off really slow and everything, and it's at it like it's playing an action sequence now. The music.
We're full blown chaos at this point.
So the captain keeps telling people to do things, and finally he decides, you know what? I'm gonna call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a call. I'm gonna see what's going on. And we've seen a couple of cables break, and at one point one of the ladies is like, "Hey, we'll just cut it off manually. We'll cut the pathway off or whatever."
That'd be fine.
And you see a scene of energy running through this cable, and part of the cable just shoots off to where the circuit's broken, and the energy just shoots through anyway.
Yeah.
And that's when the captain's like, "Okay, I'm gonna call downstairs."
He's like, hold on. Wait a minute.
I'm gonna you know what? I'm gonna get the guy on the phone. We'll take it. Like, you know what? Take 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this up.
I gotta make a call.
And it's a scene that for whatever reason really struck me, because he picks up the phone, and it goes to where the phone is, and it's literally cut.
Yeah,
the line is literally cut, and I think he even gets like a busy signal.
Yeah, he gets like a busy signal, and it's like a busy signal, and he's like, "Hey," you can hear him like being like, "Respond."
Yeah, and he realizes no one's down there. And by the way, the cables that are broken down there, they almost seem sentient.
Yeah, they
like
wriggle.
They're feeling for something.
Yeah, they wriggle.
Very alien vibes actually.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the bridge, and this captain that's been so confident and so sure this whole time, just sort of slow, like it's doing the anime thing where the brim of his cap is obscuring his eyes, and he just sort of slowly said, he doesn't say they weren't there, we lost them. He doesn't say anything. He just slowly
hangs up.
And I believe this is the point where one of the girls says something along the lines of like, "This isn't working" or whatever, and then the screen. I'll never forget this as long as I live. Yes. I actually get goosebumps just talking about it. Their view screen blanks out. It goes all red, and text just starts scrolling, and all it says is, "Ye shall be as gods," over and over and over and over again. And this doesn't, like, man, like, first off, that packs a punch. We just don't know why.
Yeah, and especially like,
and we've already seen like I Am Alpha and Omega. We've already seen enough, and like suddenly, like, I remember even being 12, being like, "This game's about religion."
Yeah.
And like, they're not telling me what it is, but this game's about religion, and there's something going on here. And it's at this moment that we actually see panic on the captain's face. Whatever it is that's got loose on the ship, they know now it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's done.
So he tells everyone to get the hell off the ship. And I may be a little mixed up on the sequence of all this, but
I mean that's basically how it went.
So
it's after he doesn't get a call on the phone, and then right about that same time we start seeing that those conduit cables that were running all the power actually start ripping through the hole and like worming their way.
That's right.
Up it.
They're literally looking for something.
Yeah. He issues the evacuation. He tells the bridge get out, like everyone bail.
And it's horrifying because everyone does. They're all on their escape ships, and then listen to this part. This is important.
Yeah.
Little saucers fly off of the ship just a little ways, turn around and start blasting. They're little saucers with one laser point on them that shoots the laser, and bear that in mind for later, folks. No one makes it.
No,
it's very clear no one makes it.
Yeah, they all get destroyed.
The captain decided to stay behind with the ship, so not only did he know he was dying, but now he's damned to know that everything he did was in vain anyway. Everyone died anyway, no matter what noble, brave path he took.
Yeah.
And the final moments we see is he opens up a locket, and there's a picture of him with a young woman and a woman that we're led to believe about his age, clearly wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Were they on the escape pods? Were they back home, wherever home is? Are these people from Earth? We don't know anything.
Yeah, never told that. Although one of them we will be recognizing later on.
Yes. So we are, at this point, there's a very heavy sense of loss instilled in the scene of people that we have no context for whatsoever, and he issues a self-destruct sequence.
And he's still calm too, by the way. Like he just like turns it on and leans back in his chair.
There's a moment of panic where he sees the Ye shall be as gods, and I think it's just because he realizes
just how screwed they are.
It's done. But once he processes that, he's right back. The military should have such a man.
Yeah, things would be
So he turns his key. The ship blows up, and the last thing we see of this opening, and this music suddenly becomes very, very sadly uplifting, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
out of nowhere,
definitely depressing, but
there's an underlying. It's one of the best ways that the music that plays at the end of Star Wars movies. Yeah. And the last scene is the characters are staring off at whatever.
Yeah. Similar vibe where it's like you're upset because of what happened, but you're somehow still being told that there's a chance.
Exactly. So at the end of this sequence, we see Rey burying Anakin's lightsaber in the sand.
Yeah. Should have buried yourself.
Okay, no. Stop. I like
triggering people.
Yeah, one of the few things me and Aaron disagree on is the sequel trilogy. I think it's fine. I love it, and I am not the Star Wars fan that's like, this is high art and this is not meeting like Star Wars. There's a lot to it, but at the end of the day, like, just give me some lightsabers, just give me some spaceship battles. I'm not gonna like be that guy at like Penny Lane in Evansville in the coffee shop being like, Star Wars is really the hero's journey. It's based on the hero of 1,000 faces. Anyway, what we actually see at the end of this, much more poignant than anything that was at the end of any Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So we see wreckage from the ship,
and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So
it's such a huge.
They were close. They were clearly close to a planet, and after it self-destructed, its wreckage. It didn't vaporize. Mm-hmm. These parts went somewhere, and we see a nude woman with very long purple hair in kind of a sitting fetal position. She gets up, looks off to a sunrise, and smiles as this sadly uplifting music is taking place. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're not going to know anything about that for another 60 hours.
Yeah.
We're just going to sit on that. So the very next thing we see is the most text I've ever slogged through in a video game at that point in my life. It starts playing a song. This song's actually almost no matter what translation you look at, it's called by Bond of Sea and Flame, and it's a great song. It's letting you know something's going to happen.
Yeah,
and it's giving us a little bit of backstory on this world.
Yeah. It basically what they do right then is they just give us a quick rundown. What's the world like right now? And I think. An analog, a real good analog for it would be almost like a more escalated 80s Cold War is going on between these two warring nations.
Yeah, there is actual combat happening between these two wars. So basically what it is
it's a Cold War without proxies.
There's a whole war, there's a whole world, but we're worried about the continent of Ignis.
Yep.
And on Ignis, in the north there is Kislev.
Yep.
And in the south there is the desert kingdom of in the pronunciation here is weird.
Yeah.
I've always said Ava.
Yeah, and I don't know what the hell I said when I was a kid. I can't remember. This playthrough, I don't know why I've been pronouncing it more like the Latin for hello.
Ave. Yeah.
And my brain said this is right. But yeah, you got those two countries.
They're locked in war. Yeah. It's been 500 years. Nobody remembers why. That's not suspicious.
And they are locked.
And they're locked. And it's not.
Actually, no, they're not. Ave's losing.
No, Ave's winning now.
They're winning now, but they were losing.
So what it was there was an organization called the Ethos. And we find out something later about Ethos that's really big that we don't find out now. But for right now, we're told they excavate ruins.
They're a third party.
Ruins. Hang on. Now listen, because you know how I told you that ship at the beginning didn't make any sense? If you're not a dumbass 12-year-old, it kind of does. Because you're paying attention to the story. So there's ruins on this planet. And this Ethos is pulling gears out of these ruins.
Yeah. Finally, our robots.
From some ancient civilization that just happens to be on this planet.
Yeah.
In ruins.
Yeah. But don't worry, we're not going to actually tell you anything about that for another 60 hours, too.
But no, what I mean is, like if you're not a dumbass 12-year-old, you could be like, wait a minute. I know where those ruins came from. That's why they showed us that movie. So yes, these gears are not technology that people researched and found. They're improving upon it, but this is a found technology.
Yeah.
Ethos is in charge of all this excavation, and it's the best way to get parts for these gears, if not the only way.
Yeah, it's basically the only way.
So in Ave and Kislev, their big thing right now is land rights. Whoever, this Ethos, this ruin was on Kislevian?
Sure.
Kislevish? Kislevish? It's Kislevish. We're using Kislevish.
I kind of like Levian better, but I'll go with it.
I don't, so we're not. I believe you'll find I have more books on my side of the desk.
Listen, I just have no books.
So Kislevish land has more ruins, so they had the upper hand in this war. But then a mysterious military organization known as the Gebler shows up, and they just throw in with Ava.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, and they are, for no reason we're going to be told for a hell of a long time as well, they are ridiculously superior.
Far and away the most powerful military organization.
It turned a losing war into a stalemate instantly.
And now swiftly gaining ground for the Desert Kingdom of Ava. So we're given that background, and then we're told that a gear that can change everything was found in Kislev and was being transported somewhere else in Kislev.
Sure.
And Ava wants it. So Gebler went to go get it and intercept it. And now there's a little town on the outskirts of Ava. And there's about to be a big problem. So then we cut to a giant blue robot fighting in the middle of fire.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of guys telling the guy in the blue robot not to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And he's like, I can't understand why I can't beat these guys. Totally not listening to them.
Yet he's like, you know what? Like this technology that I've never seen before, and I don't have any contextualization for whatsoever. I don't understand why I'm not automatically winning. Like, I am the main character of this JRPG. I am on the cover.
Yeah.
Why am I
losing
here? This doesn't make any sense.
It's total quick, tiny side note. I didn't realize why those gears went stay down until like my 4th playthrough through the game. It took me that long before okay, so like there is no hiding it. Once you get far enough into the game, it clearly tells you why a gear would not go down, even though you did fatal damage to it and its pilot. They blatantly tell you it. I never connected the dots ever.
There's a lot of that in this game. So anyway, turns out this is a nightmare. Looks like this is a nightmare because the next thing we see is a very abstract painting of fire.
Yeah.
And the guy that was piloting the gear is painting it, and the music's definitely changed.
It's super happy and like peaceful.
Most titles of this song, the song that plays is "My Village is Number One." And
so Japanese.
Boy, howdy is it. This music is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good.
We meet Faye. Faye's on top of the world, Aaron.
Yeah.
He's got everything he could want. You can find a stash of 200 gold under his bed. Yeah.
You can get 2 Aquasols right next door in his closet.
You get 2 Aquasols. You can walk around. And the first thing I noticed about this game, because I just the only 2 RPGs I played before this was Super Mario RPG and Final Fantasy VII. The first thing I noticed is when you talk to people, you could just walk away.
You can literally just walk.
You could just walk away.
And you can start multiple conversations.
Yes, and you can just fill your screen with text boxes. Anyway,
one of the first things that hit me, and I loved, and I didn't realize I loved it until like now, kind of. But it was one of the things I really loved about this game as a kid, not realizing it, is during that opening scene where we see that Faye's painting, the camera is zooming in on him, but it's rotating around him. And every other game I've ever played, if the camera's moving, it's not gameplay. But in Xenogears, it is.
Yes, you can move the camera in this game, which the L1 and R1. L1 and R1 rotates your camera around, which I'd never seen in a video. Well, no, I take that back. The C buttons in Mario 64.
I mean, it wasn't like revolutionary for Xenogears to do it, but it was the first
in a JRPG,
true JRPG that I encountered that did it, and that wasn't a cutscene though. I mean, I guess technically it was a cutscene, but it wasn't a graphically different cutscene.
Right.
It was gameplay footage.
It was an FMV video.
Yeah, they just took control for 3 seconds, rotated the camera, then gave you control, and you're introduced to a game where you're jumping. You can talk to multiple people, walk away mid-conversation, ruin their picnic, my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Fall in the well.
This section in the village is called Lahan. we quickly learned that Faye arrived here 3 years ago. A masked man brought him here within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
Faye was dying. And chiefly, the head of this village took him in as a son. And gosh, Faye's just been a great son. Chiefly, he's been a great dad.
It's been like perfect.
Faye, he's got his best.
Amnesia.
He's got his best friend in the world, Timothy.
Yep. Timmy's a bro.
Timothy is a giga chad. Like
Yeah.
he is he's got his tank top on. Looks great, swole, tan, juicy. You know, like, he's got everything.
No wonder Dan hates him.
So. Faye's other best friend Alice is marrying Timothy. It's just everything's going great, and you get to explore this village. And what I love about this is no other JRPG grounds you to your hometown like Xenogears.
Yeah,
there's a reason why, but it goes really far. Like you hear people when people talk to Faye. You hear their affection for him. These people all describe their lives.
Yeah.
They describe to you what they do. They describe their lives. You can interact with this world more than I ever saw in a JRPG. You can ruin that guy's picnic.
Yeah.
You can walk over that guy selling stuff, and he's like, "Hey, I'm selling this.
Yeah.
Like, do you mind?"
And there's depth even in those conversations. It's not meaningless filler like in some games where like you talk to the random guy in the shop and he tells you the whole world's history. Like these characters, they tell you their lives, but then you also pick up on how they're like, Faye, you're so cool. You're still an outsider, but you're cool.
There's very. I'm glad you mentioned that because every so often someone will mention like, we really really love you, but Klaus, we remember you're not from here.
Yeah.
And it's not said in a threatening way, but it's said in a way to remind Faye.
It's said in a traumatic way. Like,
yes,
this is something that people would say to you and not realize that it's messing you up.
Yes, very much so. And it's also, it's understandable these people would be bringing it up because in the middle of the night, in a village where nothing happens, a boy was brought in, beaten within an inch of his life, brutalized by a masked man who didn't explain where he was from or anything. So that's a big deal. Anyway, Faye talks to Timothy. Timothy's like, "Man, I'm ready for the wedding tomorrow." And Faye's like, "Yeah, man, it's going to be the hit of the because small towns."
That's the thing.
A wedding,
peasant town too.
Yeah,
the world may be advanced, but the town is very not.
Very pastoral. Yeah. So, Faye gets and Dan, a little boy, walks in, and Dan's very aggressive towards Timothy. It's very quickly revealed that Dan is Alice's little brother.
Yeah, loves Faye though.
It loves Faye, and I remember thinking this whole thing, and so the whole point of this is contextualize it as we experienced it when we were young. I don't know what to think. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
This game has shifted gears
like 4 times.
Yeah. And I'm just now playing it.
Yeah, and you're literally 10 minutes in at this point.
But I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Whatever they did it right because I can't put this game. I remember not being able to put it down. So Dan says he's got a plan he wants to discuss with you. And literally everyone in the room is like, "Oh, it's going to be something crazy. Yeah. Old Danny boy." Yeah, so
it is.
Faye goes outside and Dan proposes that Faye runs off with his sister.
Yeah.
Because he would rather have Faye.
Yeah.
He loves Faye. He worships the ground Faye walks on. Faye, you could do nothing wrong in my eyes.
Ever, ever, ever.
Remember that.
Yeah.
So you have 2 options, and neither one of them matter.
No,
you could be like, "Yeah, Dan, that sounds awesome. I'll run away with your sister." I never picked that one because it doesn't make any sense for Faye to just have talked to Timothy as though he's his best friend.
I always pick that.
Oh my god!
But here's the reason why. So when I was young, the reason I picked it is because Dan, weirdly, tells Faye about how well endowed his sister is, and also
means her boobs. Yeah,
and she's also a really great cook, which is a selling point.
Small pastoral town.
Yeah. So I always picked it then. Now that I've gotten some more world experience, I kind of understand what their relationship was at the time. The reason I pick it is because I feel like, and obviously this is my interpretation because we're never told this, but I feel like Timothy, good dude, tried actively to be that big brother for Dan, right?
And that's precisely
and Dan didn't want that.
Yeah, that's precisely what Dan didn't want.
Faye was his friend. And so with how much he loves Faye, how Faye seems like totally like, "Yeah, sure, Dan, I'll step outside with a 5-year-old and listen to your plan."
Right.
I always imagine that's something where like Dan will be like, Faye, why don't you run away with my sister? And Faye would be like, you know what, buddy? Let's do that. I am down.
Right.
And if you do pick that, Dan immediately is like, wait, this probably won't work. Because like,
exactly. That's why it doesn't matter.
We can't get food. We can't. He's like, you know what, Faye? He actually said, he's like, I appreciate you going along with this. And that's why I pick it, because it feels like a continuation of the bonding moment, which also sets up the next event.
It's a very, very good point. On my next playthrough, I'll probably pick that. But the other option is Faye to just be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, he's like, this is dumb.
And now that you explained it all that way, it's kind of harsh. It's like Faye's like, you know what, you
crushing
little shit.
His dreams.
Like, you just get out of my face, Dan. I can't even look at you. Anyway, you could go around the town. You get an item that's super important later in the game that you're not going to realize is one very important thing in the town. And this is the last random NPC conversation we'll discuss because we got to move along. There's a woman and a child in this town, and the man is off at the capital working to send money to Lahan, because Lahan, there's not a lot of work, so the man's off at the capital working, and they miss him, and they want to see him again, and that's all they want to do is see Dad and hubby come home. And I just want everyone to remember that, because there's an event that can trigger that doesn't always, and I just got it on my last playthrough for the first time. It is jarring, so just bear that in mind.
I think I've only gotten it like twice.
It's Don actually had never seen it.
Really?
I mentioned it to Don in the Discord after I saw it on my playthrough last year, and he had never seen it. So it is the most jarring moment in the game, and that's saying something in this game. So anyway, eventually it comes that Alice wants to see Faye, and Faye's like, that's bad luck on the wedding day, on the day before the wedding, and they're like, well, you're not marrying her, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
So
fine. You're an outsider. They're like, we'll make an exception for you.
They do say that. Yeah. Like, they're like, it's absolutely this kind of situation where it's like, you know what? If you're a real person, that would suck, but you're not from here.
You're not one of us. We won't allow you to marry. They actually say that.
I forgot about that.
Everyone is constantly like, you know, Faye, it'd be really nice if you would get married. That'd be really cool. And then Alice at one point is like, yo, it's a shame you weren't born here so we could marry.
Faye is constantly reminded of how loved he is,
but not.
But on this, but it's a very conditional love.
Yeah.
So anyway, you go and see Alice, and this is one of my favorite moments of the game because it's so well written. There's an awkward moment between Alice and Faye when he goes to see her.
Yeah.
She wants to see him because she wants him to go to Doc Sight Nizuki. There's a guy named Doc Sight Nizuki. He sounds like a great guy.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to meet him.
He's just fantastic.
And he owns a lot of technology. He's got a lot of tech sitting around for some reason. No one really questions that.
Daughter's a mute.
Which
I actually figured out why that is, I think.
Perfect Works actually goes into that a lot.
I'll have to see if I'm right.
But that's the reason Alice wants to see him. But there seems like there's something else she wants to say, and it's such a beautifully written
Faye
moment.
Wants to say something,
and I can't believe I like looking back. This is the most mature writing because it's not. There's a feeling there, but there's not enough of it to mention it and literally fuck everything up.
Yeah, because it would ruin.
It would ruin everything just to mention that there's the start of this feeling. And they don't want that, but at the same time, they're both feeling it, and it's very true to life. Like these things happen. These things happen, and you just got like. So basically, what it is they're both. It's not something as childish as a crush, but it's not a real romance. It's this what if feeling that's nagging at them the day before a wedding. Yeah. It's so realistic.
Yeah, and it's with Faye specifically because her, Faye, and Timothy. They grew up together as friends, and you've had this trio, and then two of them hook up.
And the only two people that ever didn't put that outsider clause on literally every conversation they had with Faye is Timothy and Alice.
Yeah.
And so there's this, and she mentioned that if only you were born here, but it's not if only you weren't an outsider. It's like if only you met me before Timothy did.
Yeah.
She says that, if only you'd met me sooner. And there's the whole thing, I remember being a kid and thinking, like, why is this in this video game? But as I grew older, and I saw, and you start to go through relationships and everything, it's a very real feeling. And, like, the day before the wedding, and the fact that they had the wherewithal, the fact that they had it to where they're like, this is my last chance to say it, but it will ruin everything, and everything's going to be better if we just don't say it.
Yeah.
And fantastic writing in a video game.
And there's none of that, like, I mean, we made the joke that Timothy was like this Giga Chad.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, is Timothy, he has no Chad energy. He is not like
super good guy.
You don't have to deal with that moment where he's like, you know what, Faye, you better stay away from my girl. None of that crap.
We're very what little we're shown about these people. We're very clearly shown that Timothy would would never cross his mind.
It would never cross Faye's mind.
And they're not afraid to let Timothy know because he'd be angry. They're afraid to let Timothy know because it would complicate things.
Yeah.
So in any case, Faye, he's like, you know what? It's getting dark, and Satan lives kind of far away.
Yeah, I better.
I'm gonna go.
I'll go get the camera.
And he's like, he mentions how good she looks in her wedding dress or something.
Yeah, or
and he leaves.
How she will look good at.
Yes, because she's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he leaves, and she has kind of a moment after he leaves where she's like, "Would things have been different?
Mm-hmm.
What if?" Because she's about to get married to a man for the rest of her life. She's having these what if feelings. These people are canonically 18 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to the manual. So anyway, Faye's gonna, and you know what, Faye, you weren't lying, buddy. You've got kind of a trek to see the only doctor in this extremely rural region, and you've got to brave impassable terrain that you need to be an Olympian long jumper just to get through.
And not even that. Not only that, it's not like the mountain path is connected to town.
Yes.
You have to leave town, trek through the wilderness,
monster-infested wilderness,
to get to the mountains, to then climb the mountain
with thicker mountains, and and you know what? At one point,
there's a little boy up there for some reason who teaches you how to long jump.
And well, by God, he better know.
But he was too afraid to do the jump. But he was on his way to go see Satan. We're never told why that little boy needed to see Satan.
And
he was too afraid to finish his mission.
So we keep seeing save points in this game, and they're very distinct-looking save points.
Yeah, and they actively reference them outside of tutorial mode.
Yes, and more on that later. Just bear in mind that these are very distinct save points. So Faye braves this trek to see the only doctor in town, to get cameras. That's the equipment Alice needs. She wants cameras to capture her wedding day.
Yeah.
So Faye is and at one point, you find a bird's nest, and you can take the egg from the bird's nest and have the mother of this egg beg you not to murder its child the entire walk. I'm not kidding. She will peck at your head and say, "Give me back not my egg, my child." But Faye's like, you know what? Like, I really just feel like eating this. So I'm eating this. You can speak to me. You're clearly a sentient being. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too bad. You're next.
So, and also, if you want, you can catch a spider.
Yeah.
And you could put that in, I think Dawn said in our podcast, you could just let that chill out in your pocket for the next 30 hours or so.
Yeah, I forgot to catch that little dude. That makes me mad.
So I don't think you go back. Yeah, you can't go back.
Too late.
No, where are you?
I am on the Yggdrasil with Bart.
Just go back through Black Moon.
I mean, I could technically go back, but like, I don't know.
Anyway,
I might.
Never mind the fact that Aaron doesn't know how to play this game.
Listen.
So we finally get to Doc's house, and we're about to get hit with a heaping buttload of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So we get to Doc's house. We go into Doc's house, and there's a little girl that we're not sure if she cannot or refuses to speak, but she doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Faye is very kind to her.
Yeah.
And there's a wife who I believe her name is Yui, isn't it?
Yes.
So you talk to this wife, and one of the most memed lines in the game, she says, "My husband's out back tinkering with his junk."
Yeah.
And I think Faye says something like, "Well, I gotta get out there too."
Well, he says something like that. Doesn't surprise me or something like that. And then like she even says something along the lines of like, he's always so happy when he does that or something like that. It's like, I mean, we have destroyed that line. It's innocent.
So yeah, it's absolutely he's out piddling with his crap. But anyway, Faye gives gives the kidnapped a bird child to Yui.
Mhm.
Yui promises to make a good dinner, and Faye's like, "Oh, I can't wait to eat your cooking.
Yeah.
You're a really good cook, Yui. I appreciate you as a cook. I want you to know that."
Yeah.
And so he walks up.
I'm glad you bring that up.
He walks outside, and Seitan is doing the classic Midwest dad thing.
Mhm.
Why do they use such cheap parts? He's in this weird spider crab thing,
Yeah.
and it's above a little shed. And
It's already blown up once.
so Faye's like, "Hey Doc, I need to borrow some camera equipment." And Seitan's like, "Okay, hey, go ahead and have dinner. I'll take it to town with you. I don't trust you with this equipment." Something like that. And then he's like, "Oh, Faye, by the way, don't walk away so soon.
Yeah.
There's some. What are you gonna say?"
Well, among the long list of issues we will probably talk about involving this character, domestic violence is added on
No,
that list.
no,
'Cause
little
he,
micro- 'cause-
he gaslights her about her cooking. He's like, if you could stomach her
Yeah,
cooking.
he's like, "You could stay if you could stay." And Faye literally has been mentioning Yui's cooking since Alice sent him up here. He's like, "I love it. It's
can't
fantastic." And Seitan's like, "Oh, Faye, if you want to stay and eat my wife's dog shit."
Yeah. Look, and what's funny is like on your first playthrough when you know nothing, the impression that you get is more of like it's the little like back and forth that husbands and wives will give each other. You know, just
It's a
playing.
Fred
He's like,
Flintstone
yeah.
thing.
He's like,
yeah.
oh, it's bad cooking. And she's like, then why do you eat? You know, they're just playing.
Kind of like my dad would do.
Yeah. Knowing what I know
like-
now, I fully believe that Seitan's just another level of dick.
No, yeah. So like we'll find out why this is so alarming later. But yeah, everyone loves Yui's cooking. Seitan takes every opportunity to remind her that it sucks and she's not good enough.
Yeah.
And just bear that in mind about this character. Anyway, as Faye's walking away, Seitan's like, "Oh yeah, hey,
Check this thing out.
something in the shed I want you to look at, buddy." And
Yeah, it's real cool.
Now I'm playing this game as this innocent little kid, and I'm like, man, I'll bet there's like some cool new weapon like that I'm gonna get.
Something, yeah.
Faye's been using his fist this whole time. Maybe he's not a kung fu guy. Maybe he's gonna get this is where he gets a sword.
He gets a sword or a staff.
So you go in and there's a little monolith,
yeah.
and Faye touches it and it opens up and it starts playing this beautiful song.
Yes. A weirdly haunting and sad song.
It's
too.
a very haunting and sad song, and Faye is immediately like mystified.
Yeah.
He's immediately locked in on it, and he's like, "What?" And he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We could tell he's extremely uncomfortable, and he's like, "What is this?" And Seitan comes in, wiping the oil off his hands. He's like, "Huh? So you found it? You got it working, huh? That's kind of interesting, Faye." So music is strongly tied to memory, Faye, and it makes us remember places we've been, things we've done, who we were.
Yeah. And Faye's like, I feel really weird about this. Like I know this. And Seitan's like, oh, that's probably because the guy who lives inside you liked this song. And Faye's
Maybe
just like,
maybe
what?
someone inside of you knew this song a long time, and it was very strong, and it meant something to them.
yeah. But he literally says though, the man who
living inside of you.
And like it's just Seitan going poke, poke.
And we're gonna find out why that's so horrible very soon. So anyway, he's like, well, yeah, it smells like the commode's backed up. I guess Yui's done cooking. Let's go. So you go and you eat, and
the thing breaks too. Omen.
No, that's right. It breaks after Faye walks out.
Faye walks out. And the
Faye
thing
walks
just
out.
cracks.
It breaks,
in half.
and Seitan suddenly gets a little alarmed.
Yeah,
And he's like, could this mean?
Yeah. He's like, is this an omen?
Yes, he says literally,
Yeah.
is this an omen? Yeah, very good, very good. So, Faye goes in, he eats and loves Yui's cooking.
yeah.
He gets
All
seconds and
about
everything. I assume Seitan like fed the dog.
Yeah.
Like gave the dog
Or the
scraps.
chickens.
Made a,
Which you can ride, by the way. You can ride those
I
chickens.
forgot you can't. Anyway, grab a couple items at Seitan's house because we're gonna head back,
Yeah.
and we
Without
go
the
back.
camera, because he doesn't trust us.
He doesn't trust us. He's gonna walk us back to town, but he'll come with the camera tomorrow when he
Yeah.
comes to the wedding, which was the most logical answer this whole time because he's obviously going to the wedding. Because he's very well liked and respected in town.
Yeah,
everyone
loves him, 'cause he's the
loves
doctor.
him. He's the doctor. And I didn't think about this. He probably makes house calls.
Yeah,
That's probably what he does.
From
Anyway.
a lot of things. Oh, one fun thing. So I just think this is funny. He has a sign outside that says, "Hey, I'm a doctor. Come on in if you need anything. No deceased." It literally says "No deceased."
Like, so you're walking back to town, and
It's when you get to the bridge.
I'm trying to remember what you see first though, because there's two things.
There's like a rumbly sound, and then gears fly overhead.
So gears fly overhead, and Faye has no idea what they are.
Yeah, he calls them giants.
Yeah, he calls them giants, and Seitan is kind of like,
He's like, they're there.
Like, no, you fool. Those are, and it's weird. It's Seitan has this strangely polite, patronizing thing about him.
Yeah, he's always polite, but it's very
British.
condescending.
It's
Yes.
very British.
He definitely has a British accent in my head.
So, yeah, he corrects Faye. Their gears.
Yeah.
The town is in danger.
Yeah.
We need to get there quickly. And I didn't even think of this until just now. There's no way that what we find out outside later, there's no way he gives a shit about what's happening in town.
Yeah.
But there's a clear reason he wants to
has
get there
to.
quickly.
Yeah.
There's a clear reason he wants that to so
and why he's like, come on, Faye.
he's like, come on, Faye, we need to help. We just saw giants flying. What is it you want anyway?
He's like, come on, Faye, but don't fight. But come on.
We come upon the scene we began the game with.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything's on fire. There's large robots burning everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just kind of destroying the town by accident while they fight each other.
And so we get there, and Timothy is there, and he's worried about Dan.
Yeah, they can't find Dan.
They can't find Dan. They got to get out of there, but he's not leaving without Dan.
Yeah.
And Dan jumps out of the second story, unharmed, by the way.
After Tim and Alice leave, and then he comes out because he saved the dress.
Right, because Seitan explains to them, very reasonably actually, that
protect yourself, get out.
You need to get out. There's nothing you can do, even if you do find him. If me and Faye and I will look for him, you need to protect yourself. So
and he's probably out of the village already. It's cool.
They're like, you don't know, and Dan, he hightailed it before anyone else.
Yeah.
And
which
there's
he
a
did,
very,
but he came back.
There's a very strange. Yeah, he did, but he came back because he couldn't stand the idea of his sister's wedding dress burning in this fire. And there's a very tender moment from Seitan, actually, right now, and it's one of the only tender moments we get from him. And he's like, "You risked your life to save your sister's wedding dress," and he's like, "That's so foolish, but it's so thoughtful and it's like." Kids are selfish by their nature. They can't help it.
But they can also weirdly not.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like, children, they're not fully developed yet. Your brain's not fully developed. Their survival instinct is a lot stronger than a fully developed brain's because they're, their brain is still operating on if there's danger, a kid's most likely going to run before anyone else.
Yeah, but the problem though is that developedness also comes into a problem because they can't weigh it. So
precisely,
they'll run from something that isn't dangerous, like a sprinkler, but then they'll see a fire and they'll run right into the damn thing.
Right, because again, they just
don't know.
Anyway, but children can have these moments. I have kids myself. Children have these moments where there's this sort of clarity, and you're not sure if it's accidental or what, but they're much more mature than you could ever be. Yeah. And Dan has just displayed that, and it has impressed Seitan. And Seitan, for one moment in his entire miserable life, feels the cold hand of.
It's a Grinch moment. His heart grew 0.5 inches that day.
But unlike the Grinch, he immediately takes a saline injection.
Yeah, he flushed it out.
It withers back down.
Flushed those feelings right out. But it is good though to see that moment where he's so touched.
It's very good, especially for a moment that happens all the way at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Faye is desperate to help. Mm-hmm. This is everything for him. It's literally all he has.
It's all he knows.
Because before he's 15, he has no memories.
Yeah, and we're specifically told that he knows nothing outside the border of that town.
Yes, so everything that is Faye is burning before his eyes. He doesn't know what to do. And opportunity seems to present itself.
Yep. Gear collapses in front of him.
There's a gear that collapses in front of him, and no one's running towards it.
Yeah.
They're clearly making a perimeter around it.
Pilot falls out.
It seems like this is what everyone wants. Mm-hmm. And Faye is staring at this gear. This gear means something to him.
Yeah.
He's just staring at it, and it's encapsulated. And Seitan's like, it seems to have caught your attention, Faye. How bizarre! Yeah. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Do not do anything.
Yeah, because like this whole time, Faye is like now traveling through the depths of his soul mentally, and Seitan is just like standing somewhere watching this happen.
Right. And so Faye in the middle of a firefight is standing.
Actually, no. I don't think Seitan knew. Because literally the first thing we see after Faye has gotten to it and like climbed in is Seitan basically having no, Faye, right. Don't do that, no.
No, that's right. I'm mixed up. You're absolutely correct. So Faye is being drawn towards it, and he sees a little boy that looks like him.
Yeah, with messy hair.
In the cockpit of that gear, and the boy smiles, a very like Bart Simpson with a slingshot smile.
Bart Simpson slingshot slash your typical like anime. Their hair's covering their eyes, and they give the little smile.
So it's kind of a mix between Sasuke Uchiha and Bart Simpson. One of the most important images in the game flashes real quick. There's a
cross.
a necklace it's not a Christian cross, but it's an X on its side, making sort of a lowercase t, and it swings and glints.
Yeah.
And then the child smiles and the door closes.
Yeah.
And this is an anime cutscene, and Faye is now past the event horizon of getting this gear. Yeah. It's happening no matter what.
Yeah.
And Seitan takes notice, and Seitan's like,
"Don't fight here. You cannot fight here."
It seems like Seitan kind of gaslights and directs. We've already seen him do this.
Yeah.
We need to get there quickly, Faye.
Yeah. How does this make you feel,
Faye?
But
at this moment, he's kind of like, okay, like I did want this to happen, but I don't want it to happen right now.
Yeah. This will screw up everything.
Faye gets in the gear, and the gear immediately starts to react to him. And one thing I love that I never noticed until Don pointed it out was the little text interface you're getting right when you come into the gear, and it's like, oh, don't recognize your dialect. Hey, give me a moment.
Yeah. It like basically installs a language pack, and it's like, oh, you don't have any experience? Trainer mode. And we have a little tutorial on gear fighting. Yeah, real quick.
And every time you knock down one of these gears, they get back up, and a strange gear has arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
And every time one of these gears falls, it gets back up after this gear raises its hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Faye, he's getting madder and madder and madder. And you fight these things to no avail.
Yeah, and he's confused on top of it.
He's confused, and there's a sensory overload going on. He wanted to help, but very quickly he's realizing he's making everything worse.
Yeah.
And we get another FMV cutscene.
Yeah.
Of Timothy.
He came into town looking for Dan.
He disobeyed Seitan. He came back in. He's like, I can't stand it. I've got to find Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes a gear slug to the chest.
Yeah.
And these gears are, I believe they're the size of Gundams, aren't they? They're gigantic.
Based off of the like in-game footage,
because in Perfect Worlds it measures them in like Charles and shit.
Yeah, they're measured. Their height is in Charles. Their weight is in cons.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Waltall is what is it? It's like 18.5 Charles. Whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
But like, if you using the sprites as an example during gameplay, if a Xenogears, Jesus, if a gear was to just hold a dude, like the edges of their feet would pop out the bottom of his hand, their head would pop out the top.
So it's like an Ava unit.
It's like Ava. Yeah, I think they're bigger than Gears. Or big. Oh my goodness.
Larger than Gundam.
Yeah, they're
Gundam because people stand on the palm of a Gundam's hand.
Yeah, so
it's probably about
the
Gundam.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking what, 30 meters. Something like that, 30, 40 meters.
That's a big slug.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's weird though because it animates like a rifle.
Right.
But they downplayed that for us, thankfully.
Timothy's dead, and there's a lot of blood in the scene.
Yeah.
Timothy's dead.
He's
splattered. Deader than a doornail, and
because we're also kind of led to believe that they continue shooting his body because we're told he was riddled.
But we don't really get to see the rest of it because Frieza just killed Krillin.
Yeah.
It's basically how this... And it's a much more grim, much more... I wouldn't say as impactful because I still think Goku going Super Saiyan is one of the best scenes in all of fiction.
There's also more context leading up to that too.
But right now we don't know what's going on.
This is more painful.
There's a blood-curdling scream. In this game, it's very early in the history of voice acting. The voice acting is not that good for the English localization. It's really not.
It doesn't match up to the lips worse. It doesn't match for the quality of it.
But we still get a very jarring scream from Faye.
Mm-hmm.
Dan screams, and Seitan's just sort of like, okay, this is
welp.
You know what, Izuki, you did what you could.
Yeah.
But just the Twister's in town. We're just gonna have to get in the basement. Yeah. That's all there is to it. So, the Twister doesn't need to come in town because the next thing we know, it's daylight.
Yeah.
Faye wakes up asleep at the foot of this gear, and there's maybe 10 people gathered around.
At most.
Maybe 10, maybe a dozen, and there's no longer a village.
Yeah.
And so Faye wakes up and he's like, oh my gosh, what happened? Last thing I remember is getting in this robot, and Satan's like, so you tried to save the town. I requested that you didn't.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, especially based on what we find out later about Satan, mind you, I should have been keeping a better eye on you.
Yeah, he really should be doing his job better.
But so Faye's like, what happened? And a
Satan
voice calls out.
Yeah, obviously, well, Satan actually tries to.
He's very human in this
because he's
part.
like the gear malfunctioned.
But yes, he's very much letting Faye know it's not his fault. He's like, the gear malfunctioned. He's trying to be good about this.
Yeah.
Now, do we know whether he's trying to be good about this? Because he's like, whatever happened last night better not happen again.
I think he was just trying to control the situation.
I think he's trying, because in this it gets very ambiguous about Satan. How much does he actually care about these people, and how much is he? You will find out later.
Yeah.
But right now, my impressions of Satan when I was a kid was he was kind of a weirdo, but he did seem to care about Faye. I was getting a very like paternal vibe off Satan.
And I, even right now, I'm playing, like I've said before, I'm playing through the game right now as we speak, but almost. And knowing what I know, I still was like, I got to this point in the game, I was like, maybe Satan isn't that bad of a guy.
Right.
And maybe I'm misremembering something here. But then like the music box thing happens, I'm like, okay, I know what's happening here. But then like, Satan, at this point, you just see this guy who is, he's presented as being older, but he's like 25.
But in anime years, that's,
he's ancient. And he's trying desperately to be considerate towards Faye, especially in this moment where everything is gone.
But we kind of get the feeling that he's kind of like, he's
not
trying
sad though.
Exactly.
His verbiage does not make him sad.
He's trying to talk to Faye, but he's also very much trying to talk to Faye and being like, I don't want anyone else in this conversation.
Yeah.
But then someone else comes in the conversation. We see a little text box of someone screaming murderer.
Yeah.
And Faye's like, what? And he's like, you murdered Timothy and Alice. We didn't see Alice, but we're clearly told.
We do see her in the cutscene.
Oh, that's right.
Because we see the explosion.
Yeah,
and Alice is the only person we see. Because she literally, like, this like blinding light happens, and she becomes like a silhouette almost, and she looks at her hands and then is erased.
Yes. Anyway, he says, you murdered Timothy and Alice, and Satan is immediately like, that's not fair. He couldn't have known what would happen if he got that gear.
Yeah.
And the whole town immediately was like, then why did he do it?
Yeah,
and Satan's like, shit.
And they're all like, we knew better than to let an outsider in the town.
Exactly. All that pent up otherness they always assign to Faye.
He just starts...
Because, like, Lahan clearly didn't care about outsiders. In Faye, you were an outsider, but you were one of the good ones.
Yeah.
You were, you know what? But it was always Faye's a good guy, but would you want him dating your sister?
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing.
It had that kind of vibe to it, and they're all doing that.
And that has all come to a head now.
Yeah.
We made a mistake. Chief Lee's not there. He's dead.
Yeah, he's gone.
So everyone that actually...
meant something
to Faye is dead.
Except for Dan, technically, I guess.
And we don't distinctly hear from that mother and son whose husband is off.
Yeah.
We don't distinctly hear from them. Anyway, Dan keeps saying that, and Faye's breaking down.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, I killed everybody.
To give him back his sister.
Dan is screaming. Yeah, he literally says, give me back my sister. Mm-hmm. Faye is breaking down, and Satan's like, okay, Faye, go.
Yeah, I don't think you should stay here, buddy.
And it seems, I remember as a kid it seeed very cold, but now as an adult, it really doesn't feel like one of those moments where Satan's being a dickhead. It feels like one of those moments where Satan's just like, you need to bail.
Yeah,
like
it really is because like Dan is screaming about how he hates him. He literally like is screaming at the top of his lungs how he hates him,
vowing to kill him.
Yeah, and 10 minutes earlier they were best buds. The whole town is talking about how Faye's an outsider, he doesn't belong. This is what we get for letting them in.
Yes, it's not. They're not even blaming Faye. They're blaming them. That's how deeply their prejudice is.
Yeah,
and it's a funny thing about that, how prejudice works. We should have it was a mistake to have done this, and all the people that would defend Faye are now dead.
Yeah,
Satan would defend him, but I think because we're told
tide.
Because another thing we're told about Satan, I forgot about this. Satan's an outsider too. Because another thing we're told about Satan is he set up shop about 3 years ago.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
So,
but yeah, no, Satan. Like I felt it was oddly cold when I was a kid watching it because Satan, he literally is like, he's just sitting there. He's like, Faye, I think, considering the situation, it'd probably be best if you left. And Faye's like, where am I supposed to go?
He's still not emotional, by the way.
Yeah.
He's still not emotional at all. Like,
the crowd is and Faye is, but he's just calm as a cucumber.
Like, I probably delivered half the babies that died last night, but easy come, easy go.
Yeah. And Faye's like, he's like, what am I supposed to do? And which also, this whole thing is weird because we're in this game and our main hero has failed, broken down, and now doesn't know what to do. And he's our protagonist.
Right, it's very odd for a JRPG.
Yeah,
this is a
not
very
used to that. Cloud in FF7 knew exactly what to do until like halfway.
Oh, he was cool. He and Luke.
Yeah, until like halfway in.
Which the interesting thing about Cloud is we find out that was a front.
Yeah,
but it was a front that he was playing well.
It fit the hero narrative. Faye is broken at this point, and Saiten's like, "You should go," and he's like, "But where do I go?" And Saiten's like, "How about the woods?"
And it's funny because Saiten's kind of like, buddy. Like there will be a murder here. Yeah. Like, get out.
Yeah, he's like, just go. It's fine.
And another interesting thing is this whole time Saiten maintains that like Faye did not step in that gear with the intention of killing everybody.
Yeah,
and
he does go to bat for Faye a little bit.
He goes to bat for Faye a little bit. He's kind of like And another thing is, he's kind of pointing out, he doesn't say it outright, but he's kind of trying to, you can tell he's kind of leading everyone to believe, like, everyone was going to die anyway.
Yeah.
The town was on fire.
Yeah, what did you guys think was going to happen? The soldiers would just leave peacefully?
They didn't turn around and shoot at Timothy because Faye was fighting them.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they?
A certain gear did happen to be like,
that's what I'm saying, but to their knowledge.
Yeah, we don't know.
So anyway,
just a bunch of jerk soldiers.
Saiten convinces Faye to leave, and you made a great point. Is at this point, this is where we're going to wrap up this episode. Mm-hmm. But Faye is walking off into the wilderness, not victorious.
Yeah.
We are a couple hours in this game, depending on how much grinding you did before you went up the mountain path. I like to be level 5 before I go up the mountain path, but we're not really talking about game strategies here.
But yeah, you're an hour or so.
You're an hour or so, and so far we have seen. We've seen a spaceship that seems to have no bearing on the current story whatsoever. Mm-hmm. We are given the longest disposition I had at that point ever seen in a video game about a war. That seems relevant because that war just ruined our hero's life.
Yeah. And then we've seen our hero not only fail, but actually become a broken human being because of it.
The first time he tried to help, the first time he could have given back to this town, he destroyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his two best friends in the whole world, who today was supposed to be the happiest day of their life, they're gone. Yeah. Because of him.
Yeah.
A kid who thought he was the coolest thing in the world now is literally vowing to kill him.
Yeah.
And his only friend is a morally ambiguous physician
who's like 6 years older than him,
that stockpiles extremely expensive technology on his mountain home
for reasons.
And now Faye is sent into exile, and we're not sure what he's going to do. And this was one of the first times that a video game ever actually put me in the character's shoes, because I am 12 years old playing this game, wondering just as much as Faye what the hell is going to happen next and what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And I love that sequence in Lahan, because they perfectly set up so much to where Lahan's destruction feels like something. Mm-hmm. Lahan's destruction in the town, the proper narrative tools were used to make us feel something when that happens.
Yes.
Even at 12, we were able to feel something, and we don't get that in other like Legend Dragoon.
Yeah,
like I've been gone for a while. Oh man, everyone's dead. Oh wait, you're the guy that used to teach me. Yeah, I'm sort of fighting them off. You know me.
Yeah,
and you're like, no, I don't.
Legend Dragoon, like a lot of our stories, you don't get got from the beginning. Like Dragoon, right. FF7, all these are great games. You have to learn the characters, get into the story, and then you have some attachment when things happen. Maybe. Yes. Xenogears, literally from the second the music hits you, it is building. And even when you know nothing of the world, when your experience is walking through the woods, maybe, and then playing, Final Fantasy VII, like right from the get-go, you get this, wow, this is great. Things are wonderful, which should be a red flag, but isn't.
Right.
And then it crumbles, and you feel those highs and lows, and like And especially though when you're 12, this is a bunch of complicated emotions.
Absolutely.
This is you don't know how to process it. I certainly didn't.
Right, and it's setting up a lot for later in the story. Obviously, this is 100% foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I think the bottom line that I was feeling when I was 12 years old playing this game was this was unlike any other video game I played before, and I was fully convinced unlike any other video game I'd play ever again.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, guys, we're going to stop as Faye is wandering lost towards the Darkmoon Forest. So, guys, that is our first episode of Xenogears Imperfect Works. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave us a review. Let us know what you think on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to us.
Yep. Even YouTube comments
work. Even YouTube comments work. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.